warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to our official class channel. And in this opportunity, our group will discuss and explain about the second chapter from our book, this one, the Introduction to Translation Theory. So, in this section we will discuss about types of translation. Okay, without wasting more time, we will continue straight into the discussion. So please pay attention and
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I will introduce myself. My name is Rahmasari and I'm from TBI 5, the fourth semester. And now I'm here to explain to all of you guys about intralingual translation, interlingual translation, and intersemiotic translation. So the first one is intralingual translation. Intralingual translation is a translation carried out in the same language. This translation translates into a language, namely by recommunicating a meaning with a different text in the same language. Okay, for the example, an Indonesian text that is less familiar is retranslated with a more general choice of words which more understanding to the readers. And the second one is interlingual translation. Interlingual translation is the transfer of language from a source language to the target language, and this translation transfers the text as a whole into another language, both meaning and also form. For example, the translation from English to Indonesian. And the third one is intersemiotic translation. Intersemiotic translation is an act of language transfer from verbal language to non-verbal language. This is a translation from verbal to non-verbal language. And in the intersemiotic translation is easily found in the subtitle of the film. For example, the actors in the film speak English, while the subtitles are Indonesian. I think that's all from my explanation about the intralingual, interlingual, and intersemiotic translation. And I hope my explanation is useful for others. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, here I am Anissa Firlicaniago from TBI 5 class, and I will bring the second material in the types of translation. Alright, an expert, Catford, he said that propose three broad types or categories of translation in a term of the extent, level, and range. But guys, here I just focus on extent. We will talk about full versus partial translation. In a full translation, the entire text is submitted to the translation process. That is, very part of the source language is replaced by the target language material. Meanwhile, in a partial translation, some part or part of the source language are left untranslated. They are simply transferred to and incorporated in the target language. Alright guys, let's we come into the example of extent, full versus partial translation. Or in bahasa we call that menerjemahkan penuh dan juga menerjemahkan hanya sebahagian. Nah, first we talk about full translation. It means the translator translate all, nothing except. Meanwhile, in a partial translation, there's something word that cannot or it's not need to be translated. It means the full translation, the translator just translate all the material, all the books, all the novel, or something else that that they want to translate. Meanwhile, in partial translation, just half or partial, just partial translation. Nah, why like that? Because there's something word that no need to be translated. I think that's all. Thank you.
Continue to the next topic, which is with the title of Levels of Translation, Total versus Restricted. What is total and restricted translation? Let's begin with total. In total translation, the source language, grammar, and lexical are replaced by the equivalent TL or target language grammar and lexis. The replacement entails by replacement of source language phonology and graphology by TL phonology or graphology. So, total translation, we may conclude that total translation is the kind of translation where we change the full context from source language to target language. But changing the context doesn't mean we change the meaning. The meanings stay and remain the same, but the graphological and phonological of the word is different, and it is changed from source language into the form of target language. Next is restricted translation. So, if total translation change the full context of a word, the restricted translation is the opposite of total translation. So to make it simple, restricted translation doesn't change everything. It doesn't change every aspect or context of a text. Just change some of the text or words, but still remain the point and the main meaning of the text. And that is all about levels of translation, total versus restricted.
My name is Nur Adela, and I will explain about ranks of translations. So, a three types differentiation in translation relates to the rank in a grammatical or phonological. The total grammatical normal units, where any translation takes place, is arranged perhaps in rank and in long text. At one point, the equivalence is sentence to sentence, at another group to group, at another word to word. Rank both, often said to be bad translations because involves the rules of inappropriative BSA equivalence. Next, free translation are always unlimited, but tend to rank higher. Next, word-of-word translations. Generally, this means what it says is then translated. Next, literal translations. Literal translations lies between word-for-word translation but makes change according to grammar.
Alright, here I am Zaina Nurul Amin and I will explain about phonological translation. So, what is phonological translation? Phonological translation is the translation of the phonological source language into the phonological of the target language in equal or as simple as naturalization. Naturalization and phonological translation, the both are same. So, if we take a look to what phonology is, basically, phonology is the branch of the linguistic that study about how the process of the sound produced in language. Like that. Let's take an example from if the source language is English, the word is national translated into the target language, bahasa Indonesia, becomes to nasional. So, national and national basically have the same sound spoken. Another example is class becomes to class. Remote becomes to remote. International becomes to international. I think that's all. Thank you.
Here I want to explain about the last material. It is about graphological translation. Graphological translation is one of restricted translation. Before I explain what is graphological translation, first I want to explain what is graphology. So actually, graphology is the study of people's handwriting. It's an expression of personality. But now we look at graphology for the translation context. So what is graphological translation? Graphological translation is when a search language graphology of a text is replaced by equivalent target language of graphology. When the translator wants to write the search language into the target language, the two writings have the same writing and the same sound. That's all can I explain